Things just took a major turn for the Toronto Maple Leafs as we have multiple huge updates ahead of tonight's game, including Craig Berube coming out and making multiple moves. I'll break down exactly what that is and discuss what it means going forward ahead of the biggest game of the series. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. If you're a part of that 71% or so who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that button. And thank you guys again for your continued support, and bear with my voice here. It's too much yelling at the Leafs winning games, so it's starting to go out. But Darius, despite my voice, the Leafs are, I'll sacrifice my voice for another Leafs win tonight. And let's dive right into what we kind of thought, and we covered it in yesterday's video, but it is now officially confirmed. You can see this here. A couple hours ago, it came out that Pacioretty was seen as likely to make his debut tonight, marking his long-awaited return since he last saw action on February 8th. And now practice just finished moments ago, and it has been confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. Stolarz is starting, but most interestingly, Pacioretty is in for Nick Robertson. Knies, Matthews, Marner, Homer, Tavares, Nylander, Patches, Domi, McMahon, and Lawrence, Lawton, Yarncroke. So this is very interesting. And we expected that, Patch was going to get in at some point, but they changed things up after yesterday. Craig Berube throwing a bit of a curveball by saying that they aren't going to change anything up. They did, and Pacioretty is in for some experience. We'll dive into a few things here, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Your guy, Nick Robertson, he is out. Pacioretty is in.
Yeah, and I think that it makes some sense at this point in the series for a couple reasons. And I said before the series even started, it would make no sense, and I said it on stream, I said it in videos, that it would make absolutely no sense to change the lineup from what it was because they were winning. Until you lose, you shouldn't change the lineup. And they still haven't lost, but last game wasn't a good performance. I do expect them to bounce back today. I expect both teams to have really, really good games in this one. Both have settled into the series now at this point. So it wasn't a good game last game. And I was saying that I wonder if Pacioretty gets into a game here in this series on the road. He hasn't played in almost 3 months. He hasn't played an NHL game in almost 3 months at this point. But Nick Robertson wasn't good last game. He wasn't doing anything that made him effective in game one last game, and he took a bad penalty. That's something you have to consider. When you look at Pacioretty, if he's ready to go and he's 100%, he's been sitting off, like I said, for almost 3 months at this point. He's going to come in with some jump, and that's exactly what the Leafs need in this game after what happened last game. Yes, they won. They stuck around. They had a good first period, and obviously a great overtime winner from Max Domi. But in terms of the rest of the game, they had no jump, right? They had nothing in their legs. So adding a guy like this who's going to be hungry, we know what he can bring to the table physically. If he does that, he's going to be a factor. If he doesn't, he's going to come out of the lineup pretty quickly. So I do believe he's going to bring it to the lineup. And if he does, his line mates are going to go with him. The way he plays, a lot of guys feed off of that. Domi's going to start doing that. McMahon has to assert himself into the series as well. He's been disappointing as well. So if he comes in with that jump and he adds that physicality to the team, the Leafs can take a stranglehold on this series. Every line can get some jump from that because, again, it's contagious when one guy starts doing it. So I feel like he's going to have some jump from the beginning. And if he doesn't, he's coming out pretty quickly, I think, in my eyes. But it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. And they're switching up the lines a little bit. We'll get into it. He's playing on the left side. So that's going to be interesting. McMahon moves to the right side. I wonder what that's going to do for the line. But I don't hate the move. I think it actually makes sense right now.
Yeah, the line. The third line in general hasn't really done anything. You obviously talk about Robertson. He took his first bad penalty of the series. Granted, he only played 2 games, and that wrote the end for him for now. And Pacioretty, you mentioned it. Like, they only need 10, 12 minutes of him being physical and him potentially being a goal threat as well. He's performed very well in the playoffs, albeit when he was younger. And even just in general over the past, half decade or so, the past few years, he has a lot more experience than Nick Robertson. And maybe that can help that third line get going. The second line looked good. Holmberg looked good. The first line has looked okay. The fourth line has looked great. It's really only been that third line. So staying Pacioretty in, it definitely makes some sense. And again, Stolarz is also in. And this is his first game, Pacioretty, since February 8th. So like you mentioned, almost 3 months. And I'm very interested to see what his foot speed is like. Now, the good news is I think this is the best Leafs 12 if they want to go in a cup run. So ultimately, if they wanted, you need to get him going, get him back in action. If he looks healthy and he looks fresh, and he looks quick on his feet, quick on his skates, this could look, like a very good decision, especially as you start to look at preparing. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, preparing for the next series, whoever that is out of the Florida team. So it is a very important step in the right direction. I didn't think Nick Robertson was the long-term answer. Berube was riding it because it worked in the regular season, and it did work in the postseason. But let's not forget that game 2, that third line got outplayed, and the Leafs got outplayed for the majority of that game. They're lucky to squeak away with not 2 points, but squeak away with the win. So I think a change was going to happen if they lost, but I guess in Berube's mind, they lost 2 out of 3 of those periods, so may as well get it done there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Berube, he said it yesterday. He's trying to identify, even though they won, little things that they can get better at. And that's what the coach's job is during a playoff series, to be like, okay, this is where we were lacking last game. This is what we need. And I think this is exactly the move that they need at this point in time for this game. Again, if Pacioretty's awful, he's got to come out of the lineup right away. You cannot allow the Senators to come back in this series and get another win in game 4. So he's got to come out right away. But I do expect him to be good. There's no reason that they would put him in if they were unsure about that. I feel like he's going to be quick. I feel like he's going to be throwing the body around. He knows his role. He knows what he has to do. So, and I'm sure he's feeling good. He's had almost 3 months off, right? So, and not only that, Pacioretty brings, like you alluded to, experience. Can he score the same way that he did when he was in his early 20s? Probably not, but he's going to crash the net. He's also going to bring up calming presence to the bench. He's been there. He's done that, right? So, whether it be Montreal or with Vegas. So, I feel like that's another thing that even Craig Berube was talking about the last couple of days, that like he's trying to maintain his composure on the bench, because you can see it unraveling a little bit on the other side, which we'll touch on as well. But he's trying to maintain his composure, and Pacioretty's another guy who's seen a lot of things. He's been in a lot of high pressure situations, so he's not going to get too high or too low either. And I feel like that's a good thing for the Leafs right now. So I'm expecting a pretty crazy game, honestly, because I think both teams are going to be on tonight, right? The Senators weren't in game 1, the Leafs weren't in game 2. I feel like both teams have settled in and know what to expect from each other. So again, I think the biggest thing here is the Leafs have a fantastic opportunity tonight to take a stranglehold on this series. If you go up 3-0, even if you lose a game or two, like for the Sens to beat you 4 times in a row, that's very difficult for the Senators, I think. So take a stranglehold of the series.
Yeah, the blue line remains the same. And I guess Riley Carlo back on the top pair. That's been juggled a bunch. Anthony Stolarz is in the net. And of course, the power play units, same as always, with Marner at the QB in the first unit. The second one with the double defenseman with Domi, Patches now as well, and McMahon. So that's the new thing, adding Patches in there instead of Robo. But a couple other things before we wrap up. Looking at the Sens line this morning, Nick Jensen and Ridley Gregg aren't at practice. So this is interesting. I want to get your thoughts on this. Some moves happening, some interesting things happening from the Senators side. You obviously have that good first line of Kachuk, Stutzel, Giroux. And of course, even the third line has been playing very solid with Highmore, Pinto, and Amadio. Zetterlund, Cousins, Batherson. So Batherson's hopefully going to have, Drake Batherson hopefully have a bit of a bounce back game if you're a Senators fan, with Perron, Gaudette, and Nick Cousins on the back end. What are your thoughts on this? No Jensen and seemingly no Ridley Gregg either.
Yeah, so they missed the morning skate, but it was announced that they are expected to play, so they should be in the lineup. So that tells me that they're actually injured. And you never want injuries for any team. You never want to wish injuries upon people ever. But I will say that, these things happen during the course of a playoff series, right? So to me, that tells me that they're resting, they're injured. So the Leafs need to take advantage of that. And I'm not saying play dirty or target them. I'm just saying if a guy on defense can't move the way that he normally does, take advantage of that, right? He's going to be in the lineup because they trust him and he has playoff experience. But the Leafs should take advantage of some of these guys not feeling 100%. And Greg has been a factor in this series. He ran into Stolarz, right? Obviously, in game 1, game 2, him and Stolarz came together. I think Stolarz got the best of that one. It should settle down now, but he's been a factor in that way the whole series. So if he's not feeling 100%, maybe he doesn't do as much of that stuff. So you have to take advantage of stuff like this. Again, I'm not saying to play dirty, target them, anything like that. And you never want to see injuries for any team. But again, take advantage of the opportunity that you have in front of you.
Yeah, hopefully they're healthy, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to also see some of the perimeter shots in the outside slot here for a lot of fans. On the Senators side, saying the Leafs got lucky, all these different things. Also, Allmark gets the nod once again. No Anton or no Forsberg there. So let us know down below what your score prediction is for this game, what your thoughts are on the lines. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.